Life will test you. That's a guarantee. You will face setbacks and disappointments. But what if you had a mental operating system that could transform life's biggest obstacles into stepping stones? Before we get to the 6 habits that can make you unbreakable, we need to install that system. This is the foundation for everything that follows. The Stoics called it the dichotomy of control. Imagine you are the captain of a ship at sea. There are only 2 things that matter: your ship and the sea itself. You have absolute control over your ship, the rudder, the sails, your crew. These represent your thoughts, your judgments, and your actions. But you have zero control over the sea, the wind, the waves, the sudden storms. That is the outside world. The Stoic rule is brutally simple. Focus 100% of your energy on being the best possible captain and waste zero energy trying to command the ocean. The common mistake that causes almost all of our anxiety is that we spend our lives trying to control the ocean. We get angry at the wind for blowing. We scream at the waves for crashing. We obsess over the weather forecast, believing that our happiness depends on a calm sea. While we're distracted by the uncontrollable, our hand slips from the rudder and our ship is thrown about by the chaos. The lesson from the Stoics is that your power isn't in controlling the world. It's in mastering your response to it. That is where your real power lies. Your inner peace doesn't come from a life with no storms. It comes from knowing you are an excellent captain, capable of navigating any storm that comes your way. This is how you move from a passive state where things happen to you to an active state where you create your own path. So here is your first practice. It's the control audit. The next time you feel stressed about a problem, take out a piece of paper. Draw a line down the middle. On one side, write "my ship," things I control. On the other, the sea, things I don't. List every aspect of the problem in its correct column. Then physically cross out everything in the sea column. What remains under "my ship" is your action plan. That is the only place to focus your energy. Once you have this operating system installed, you can begin to build the habits of an unbreakable mind. The biggest, most unpredictable part of the sea is change itself. In the next part, we'll learn how to go beyond simply accepting change and instead learn the Stoic art of loving it. You've installed the operating system. You know to focus on your ship, not the sea. But the sea is, by its very nature, in a constant state of change. The winds shift, the currents turn. Our first instinct is to fight this. We resist change because it comes from fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of loss, or fear of failure. But this resistance is like trying to sail directly into a hurricane. It's exhausting and pointless. The Stoics offered a more powerful, advanced mindset. They didn't just accept change. They practiced what is called Amor Fati, a love of fate. This is not passive resignation. It is a proactive, disciplined choice to love whatever happens as if you chose it yourself. It is the mindset that says, whatever happens, I can work with this. Think of yourself not just as a captain, but as an alchemist. Life doesn't give you gold. It gives you raw, sometimes ugly, materials, a job loss, a rejection, an unexpected setback. The untrained person complains about the materials they've been given. The Stoic alchemist, practicing Amor Fati, sees all change not as a threat, but as an opportunity for growth and learning. They know they have the power to transform any raw material, no matter how difficult, into something valuable: strength, wisdom, and resilience. The lesson is this: you cannot control the events life gives you, but you have 100% control over your response to them. That is where your real power lies. Every change, every unexpected obstacle is not a disruption to your journey. It is the journey. So here is your practice for this week. The next time you face an unexpected change or a difficult situation, you must resist the urge to ask the victim's question, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, ask the Stoic alchemist's question, "How can I use this?" Ask yourself, as the source suggests, "What is this situation teaching me?" Or "How can I grow from this?" This one question shifts you from a passive victim of circumstance to an active creator of your own character. Learning to work with external change is the first step. But what about the internal chaos it creates? What about the storms of emotion, the anger, fear, and anxiety that brew inside your own mind? If we are to be the master of our ship, we must first be the master of our own inner world. In the next part, we'll learn the Stoic art of emotional regulation. You're learning to sail the seas of change, but the most dangerous storms are not outside of you. They are inside of you. The storms of anger, fear, and anxiety. A Stoic master isn't someone who feels nothing. They are someone who can navigate their own inner storm with composure and insight. The common mistake is to believe that you are your emotions. You say, "I am angry," fusing your entire identity with a temporary chemical reaction in your brain. This is what lets your emotions call the shots, not you. But the Stoics taught a radical truth. You are not your feelings. You are the observer of your feelings. Stoicism doesn't tell us to suppress our feelings. That's unhealthy and impossible. Instead, it teaches us to understand and manage them so they don't overpower our rational mind. Imagine your emotions are a powerful, wild horse. The untrained person does one of two things. They either let the horse run wild, trampling everything in its path with an emotional outburst, or they try to lock it in a dark stable forever through suppression. Both lead to destruction. The Stoic, however, learns to be the rider. They acknowledge the horse's power, they feel its strength, but they hold the reins. They guide the horse with skill and intention, using its energy for a purpose. So how do you become the rider? You practice the Stoic pause. It's a three-step process you can use in the heat of any moment. First, acknowledge. Simply recognize and name the emotion without judgment. "Ah, this is anger," or "I am noticing a feeling of anxiety." This recognition is the first step toward transformation. Second, question. Interrogate the feeling. Is my reaction proportionate to the situation? Is this person cutting me off in traffic really a threat to my existence? Or just a minor, fleeting annoyance? Often you'll find the intensity of your emotion doesn't match the reality of the event. Third, choose. This pause creates a moment of choice. In that brief gap between the trigger and your old reflex lies your freedom to choose a wiser, more rational response. You don't stop the feeling from arriving, but you prevent it from leading to an impulsive action you'll later regret. The lesson is not to stop the waves of emotion from coming. That's impossible. The goal is to learn how to surf. Mastering your emotions means you can feel anything and still choose to act with wisdom and clarity. Your practice this week is to become an emotional surfer. The next time you feel a strong negative emotion, try to catch the wave with the three-step pause. 1. Name it. 2. Question it. 3. Choose your response. Don't aim for perfection. Just practicing this puts you back in the driver's seat of your own mind. Once you begin to master your inner world, you can start to master your outer world, especially your relationships. But this requires two things that often feel contradictory: taking full ownership of your life while also setting ironclad boundaries with others. In the next part, we'll explore these twin pillars of a strong social life. You're learning to master your inner world. Now it's time to apply that mastery to your social world, your career, your friendships, your family. A strong social life, according to the Stoics, rests on two seemingly opposite but essential pillars: radical ownership and ironclad boundaries. First, radical ownership. This means you stop blaming external factors when things go wrong. Instead of pointing the finger, you take 100% responsibility for your own actions, reactions, and choices. As the source material suggests, this is how you move from a passive state where life happens to you to an active state where you are the chief architect of your life. The common mistake is to get stuck in a victim mentality. This feels easier in the short term, but it renders you completely powerless. Think of your life as a building. A victim blames the bad weather and the poor materials. The architect, taking ownership, says, "Yes, the weather was bad, so how can I design a better foundation for next time?" They own their mistakes not as failures but as valuable data to build a stronger future. The second pillar is ironclad boundaries. While you take ownership of everything on your side of the street, you must also build a clear fence that defines where your street ends. Boundaries are not about building walls to keep people out. They are about protecting your time and energy so you can focus on what you truly value. The mistake we often make is people-pleasing, saying yes to a project when our plate is overflowing, or attending an event we dread out of guilt. This doesn't just lead to exhaustion, it breeds resentment. Think of your energy as a private garden. Without a fence, anyone can wander in and trample your flowers. Boundaries are the calm, strong fence that says, "This space is mine, and I will decide what I allow in." The lesson is that a healthy and powerful life requires both pillars. Ownership without boundaries leads to burnout. Boundaries without ownership leads to blaming everyone else. You need both to live with integrity. Here's your practice for this week. It's the pillar audit. First, think of a recent problem and practice radical ownership by asking yourself, how did I contribute to this outcome? Second, practice setting one small boundary. This could be saying, "I'm not available at that time," or "I need to pass on this," without feeling the need to over-explain or justify it. One act of ownership in one act of boundary setting. Building this structure in your social world is a game changer. But the most important relationship you have is with yourself. How do you push yourself to grow while also being kind when you fall short? In the next part, we'll explore the powerful alliance between discipline and self-compassion. You're learning to manage your relationships with the world and with others. But the final frontier is mastering the relationship with yourself. This requires a delicate balance between two powerful, seemingly contradictory forces: the relentless discipline to never stop learning, and the gentle self-compassion to be your own ally when you fail. The common mistake is to believe these two ideas are enemies. We think discipline must be harsh, driven by a relentless inner critic who tells us we're not good enough. Or we think self-compassion is just a soft excuse for being lazy. The Stoics understood that sustainable growth requires both. They are allies. Discipline is the engine that drives you forward. Self-compassion is the fuel that keeps that engine from burning out. First, there is the discipline of lifelong learning. The Stoics believe that education doesn't stop at graduation. It extends through every day of our lives. Every experience, especially every setback, is viewed as an opportunity to gain wisdom and strength. Think of yourself as a sculptor and your character as a block of marble. The discipline of lifelong learning is your chisel. Every book you read, every new perspective you consider, and every mistake you learn from is a strike of the chisel, chipping away the excess stone to reveal a better version of yourself. But sometimes the chisel slips. You make a mistake. You fall short of your own standards. This is where self-compassion becomes a crucial tool. It's not about coddling yourself or making excuses. It is, as the source suggests, about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a good friend. Your inner critic is a hammer that would smash the sculpture after one mistake. Self-compassion is the gentle hand of the master sculptor who acknowledges the human error and wisely plans the next cut. Beating yourself up over mistakes serves no one. It's about being your own ally in times of struggle. The lesson is that sustainable growth is a dance between these two forces. You need the discipline to keep chiseling and the self-compassion to keep going when you make a bad cut. One without the other leads to either stagnation or burnout. So here is your practice for this week. It's the growth and grace audit. At the end of each day, ask yourself two questions. First, the question of discipline. What did I learn today? From a book, a conversation, or a mistake? Second, the question of compassion. Where was I hard on myself today? And what would I have said to a friend instead? This practice builds both habits in tandem. When you master this internal alliance, when you learn to strive without self-punishment, you are ready for the final integration. What is the ultimate point of all this training? It's not just to be unbreakable. It's to build a life of profound meaning. In our final part, we will explore the ultimate goal of Stoicism, a state of human flourishing the Greeks called eudaimonia. You've learned to master your relationship with reality, with your emotions, with others, and with yourself. You have the full toolkit to build an unbreakable mind. But what exactly are you building? The goal isn't just to become a fortress that can withstand pain. That's only defense. The ultimate goal is to build something beautiful inside that fortress. A life of purpose, meaning, and true fulfillment. The ancient Greeks, including the Stoics, had a word for this, eudaimonia. It's often translated as happiness, but it's much deeper. It means human flourishing. It is the state of living at your absolute best, in alignment with your highest self. It's not a fleeting feeling you chase. It's a way of being you build. The common mistake is to pursue happiness in external things, a promotion, a relationship, a new car. The Stoics knew this was a trap. Those things are outside your control and can be taken away. True, lasting fulfillment, eudaimonia, comes from the one thing no one can ever take from you, your character. It is forged in the choices you make every single day. This is how all the habits we've discussed integrate to serve this one ultimate goal. You master the dichotomy of control to focus your energy on building your character, not on trying to change the world. You practice Amor Fati to see every challenge not as a setback, but as a chance to forge that character. You regulate your emotions so you can act from wisdom, not impulse. You set boundaries and take ownership to live with integrity. And you practice discipline and self-compassion to ensure your growth is sustainable. Do you see? These aren't just 6 random habits. They are an integrated system for living a virtuous and meaningful life. The final lesson is this: The goal of Stoicism is not simply to feel good, but to be good. The point isn't to achieve a life free of pain, but to become someone who can find meaning and purpose in any circumstance. Being unbreakable is just the powerful side effect of building a beautiful character. This is the path. It's a lifelong journey of learning and growing, of turning every challenge into a chance to evolve. So I will leave you with this final question to reflect on. What is one small, virtuous action you can take today to move closer to your highest self? If this journey into Stoic wisdom has resonated with you, a like on the video lets me know you want more deep dives like this. And make sure you subscribe so we can continue to learn and grow together. Remember, life will always test you. The question is not whether you will face storms, but what kind of captain you choose to be. Be a good one.